Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have had that, you've just come out of that other session and hope that was interesting. So now we move on to the next session, which is IEEE Region 10 Professional Activities Panel. We have an exciting panel, and it is totally managed by our IEEE Region 10 leader, Prakash Lohana. And he's from Pakistan, and he is the IEEE Pakistan region, and he has put together a fantastic panel. I think more details about Prakash would be in the handbook, the digital handbook. And for those of you who want to have a checkout for the whole program, I would encourage you to go to tencon21.com, and the handbook is there. So just download those things so that we can quickly go on to the conversation without spending too much time on the bios and CVs and things like that. So with that, I invite Prakash to send up his opening remark and then setting the tone for this panel. Over to you, Prakash. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nirmal, for really it's nice to get this opportunity to moderate this session, and I am very much fortunate, to have these very learned panelists with me today for this discussions on a very important topic, that is the industry academia linkages. And that problem, we have been facing, since many years. Though, some of countries have done very well and better, but it's still a lot needs to be done in that area. So let me introduce, because time constraints, I'm going to go with a very brief introduction of today's panelist, and then I will begin with this discussions. If audience can have any questions, you can write your questions later. We'll read your questions. First, we have Dr. Sudhindra Tirata Kaushik. He is Innovation Director, Volvo Group India Private Limited, and Head of Campex by Volvo Group Bangalore, India. He's done his Bachelor of Engineering, MBA Marketing, and a postgraduate strategy, and PhD and Innovation Senior Member of IEEE, Fellow of Institute of Engineers, India, and VP Conference IEEE Technology Engineering Management. So thank you, and we welcome Dr. Sudhindra for taking us time. Then we have Professor Dr. Zubair A. Sheikh. He is from Karachi. He is the current President and the Vice Chancellor of Muhammad Ali Jinnah University, Karachi. He has done his Bachelor of Engineering in Computer System Engineering and a PhD in Computer Science from New York, USA. We welcome Dr. Zubair Sheikh for and your taking your time for this panel discussions. Then we have Dr. Paulina Chen. She is a Global Citizens, and she is the Principal and CEO of Global Virtual Consortiums and International Think Tank on the Tech Business Strategy and Innovation Business Development. Paulina is a strong advocate of the young professionals and women in STEM. So we welcome Dr. Paulina for joining us for today's panel discussions. Then we have Ms. John Dyer. She is the Chief Executive Officer, Cooperative Research Australia, Canberra. We welcome Ms. John. Thank you very much for your time. And then we have the Alpha Gopalais. He's the Senior Lecturer, Monash University, Malaysia. And we welcome all our panelists for today's discussion. The topic is about, as I mentioned, the industry academia linkages. As I'm just giving a very brief about that, what exactly that, as far as my concern on there, when we see, it is basically divided into three. When a university, but most of the universities are the research-based universities, most of the teaching universities, teaching and innovation, and most are the entrepreneurship. So if you divide in three categories, see how university and industry can collaborate if they are teaching-based, how the university and industry can collaborate if they are research-based, and how do the same if the focus on the entrepreneurship. So these are the main areas, and that's where I'm going to start discussions, my discussions. And I first go and request Dr. Sudhindra, if you can comment on that, and you just put your points, and then we will move toward the other panelists. Dr. Sundar, now it's towards you.
The TENCON. Thanks, Sanjay. Nice to meet you, Paulina, Jane, Alpha, and Dr. Zubair. I think it's a classical problem that we're all trying to solve for a while. I think it will continue to be there for some more time. In my opinion, there is a shift in terms of what an employee or even as a professional engineer trying to achieve nowadays from my exposure to this around the world. There is one end of the spectrum, we have an employee, and another end of the spectrum, we have an entrepreneur. And if you visualize, it has been polarized in a way to a large extent in the last decades. As we move forward, I do see the intrapreneurship coming, taking a place and its position in between these two, right in the middle. And I'm sure all of you would know about it, but just to quickly recalibrate, the employee is given a little bit more room to maneuver himself or herself in a industry setup, and that is an opportunity for academia to move in and take that position also, where it's more than an employee but less than a entrepreneur when it comes to exercising the risk and reward behaviors. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody will enjoy being an employee, but this intrapreneurship will give this a little bit of room. Now, this is not a breed that will come out of a company overnight because now the company is offering people to behave differently. I think this is where academia industry collaboration can play a huge role. And I always call it the 4E, the fourth E. We have education, and then we have expertise, then you have experience around that. Usually we play around with these three parameters. I think from a linkage perspective, what the role of industry could be, especially with the background of entrepreneurship and getting more entrepreneurial spirit in a company. The fourth is what I call the exposure. I think that comes from being part of conferences like this, listening to people like you, and understanding different points of view. I think that exposure does not come by time, does not come by reading books, but comes by doing things. And I think that opportunity to do things would be the best way to get exposed. And it's not a one way. It's not that academia needs to be exposed. Industry also needs to be exposed, because I don't know what I don't know is a huge problem going forward. And I think this linkage can help both industry and academia. Prakash, I leave it there.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar. Really, it's a nicely, comment, and then you started with the entrepreneurship and specifically from the employee's perspective, and then you mentioned 3 E's. So I'm taking with that the same questions towards Dr. Zubair Sheikh, if he is. Dr. Zubair Sheikh,
I'm around. Yes,
okay.
I'm around. If I'm audible enough.
Yeah, you are audible enough, Dr. Zubair Sheikh. Thank you very much. And I'm sure you listen. The same questions towards you. And if you comment on that as what Dr. Sundar mentioned, and as earlier I mentioned about 3 categories of the collaboration or linkages with the academy in this year. Please, Dr. Sam, now it's towards you.
First of all, thank you very much, Prakash and all others. I'm really very happy to see you all. Unfortunately, my camera is somehow has malfunctioned at this odd time, and probably it's about my security settings, etc., that when I'm connected with certain external linkages, my camera automatically goes off. So probably I've not been able to tweak that, and I don't want to close my antivirus software, which is blocking me from the camera settings. So my apologies for that. But few things I would like to mention. There are different kinds of challenges when we talk about industry and academia linkages. The first is when we talk about industry limited to information and communication technologies, that's totally different. That has gone towards a different levels altogether. Electronics, communication, software industry, that has different challenges. So I see a different challenge in this area of industry, and I see a different challenge in an area of industry which could be related to chemical engineering, mechanical, civil, and other kinds of disciplines, etc. So those are 2 different challenges now in this current information revolution age. Now, let me first of all talk about the ICT revolution kind of an industry and the academia challenges over there. See, we have seen lots of, spin-offs and lots of entrepreneurial activities taking place through the business transformation taking place by having the software industry and the mobile apps being developed and altogether business processes being totally altered. We have already seen the Uber and all these kinds of things and Amazon, etc., and the cloud services which are there. So that has already excelled, and this has already this kind of is towards the entrepreneurial culture, where a student automatically, when he is in his very first year, he comes with an entrepreneurial mindset, and he knows he can develop things. And with the IoTs and other sensors, etc., coming in, 5G coming in, etc., already the entrepreneurial mindset of the students is already made, and they already develop those, and startup culture is also there, and entrepreneurial aspect is there, and the industry understands that if they have to excel their extensions, they can do it to the ICT. But when it comes to other disciplines, there is definitely a gap. And this is where the academia has to place up and has to develop a pivotal and play its pivotal role. That is, the academia professors, etc., they know how they can add value to their current whatever engineering practices and the business practices they are performing. But the industrialist, on the other hand, is kind of scared, and particularly, they don't have the R&D divisions in many of the, companies don't have R&D divisions. I'm talking typically developing nations. I'm not talking about US or some developed nations where they develop and they have the R&D divisions also. So since they don't have R&D divisions, hence the industry is scared to talk to the professors, and the professors don't know the jargon which is to be used really in the business practices. So this is the gap. So I strongly believe that for the professors, for example, in the developing countries, say in Pakistan or so, there should be an internship concept, just like we have for the students. I believe that there should be a placement year or placement kind of an internship kind of a thing. And that is what I have modeled in my university, where my professor, I asked them to go for about 6 months and go and work in the industry. And at the same time, on a reciprocal basis, I asked the industry professional to come and teach in my university. So I pay my professors, I pay the salary of that industry professionals during 6 months when he works in my university. And likewise, I want them to pay the salary of my professor when he goes over there. So this kind of a cultural, intermingling and this kind of cultural exchange automatically promotes the culture of developing an R&D center or some kind of an industrial academia linkage kind of a thing. So that's the layer where I'm working on, and automatically innovative kind of project ideas do come. And that's how the students and those are working. And so this is one aspect. Second aspect I believe is this, that we do have to involve certain venture capitalists or investment banks. They work on the academic industry liaison, and they provide that as a security. So intellectual banks are required. What we miss over here in our countries is this, that intellectual ideas and the promotion of the ideas kind of thing is not in existence. So I believe that in the developing countries, it is important to have the bank, which gives the security on the basis of an idea, so that ideas get promoted and the industry also gets benefit from the academia and all that. So joint proposal kind of concepts which have the bank security in that. In other words, I'm not talking about the bank which is going to give the money. I'm talking about the bank which is going to give the ideas, the intellectual ideas. So idea banks, like these conferences have conference proceedings, the bank will have the security of the ideas and how that idea can be materialized. So these are my 2 cents on the enhancement of academic industry liaison. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zubair. Very comprehensively, you covered the areas and you put in very important suggestions, specifically the R&D divisions, and then the swiping of the university professors in the industry and the industry professionals coming into the universities. And I think that really make a difference. So without wasting further time, keeping all these concerns and questions, as I mentioned earlier, and adding one more thing before moving towards Dr. Paulina, there's a concept of triple helix. That is the collaboration between the industry, government, and universities. I don't know where we fit in that, but that will be the letter we discuss about that. But Dr. Paulina, towards you, please comments and give your thoughts and suggestions on these points.
Thank you very much, Professor Lahana. I strongly agree with all my contemporaries, today, sharing our insights of the linkage between academia and industries. I think especially in this new normal era, and also getting ready to proceed, under and beyond the pandemic, it is no better timing to solicit the union between industries as well as academia for two reasons. During the pandemic, there is really no gap, and it's a very strong connection and bridge between technology, science and technology, as well as in industries. Because of the applications of various technologies or industries, public and private sectors, that's just what we talk about, have a need, to use, the most current technology applications. Take a look at today, health tech, education technology, fintech, and also green tech and smart tech. These are the key prime focus of many of today's technology. And they are also the prime focus of business development on innovation. And I see that the connection between the two are very strategic. On the other hand, from the academia perspective, all the research and development, all the forward-looking work has a lot to do with the applications. And of course, even basic research and development, the basic skill set on technologies are towards this direction. So it is an automatic, hidden, and also latent and potent correlation between the two. Now, just now I've heard that how are we going to facilitate better communications between the two camps? In my mind, there are no two camps. It is one particular union, and especially, in IEEE, our focus this year and focus next year is how are we going to make IEEE our professional home? And how are we going to go beyond the horizon of the Institute of Electrical and Electrical Engineers? This is one particular area that we include, and earlier speaker said, civil engineer, chem engineer, structural engineer, mechanical engineer, and even social scientists. Together, we would do a great solution. We would solve problems, and we could identify ways to make better decisions using technologies. So my hope is all bright, and I know that together, no matter, and also we are not talking about different development of countries. All of us participate. We are working, towards the same goal, and that is very important. And this is a major strategy, and also is a major focus to combine technology development and business development. So this is my current view, and I would look forward, to continue this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paulina, for your very valuable inputs regarding the industry, academia, and we appreciate. And now, as we mentioned, that now we have, very good and very innovative ideas from Dr. Paulina and Dr. Fitra and Dr. Zubair Sheikh. So keeping all these ideas and thoughts, and I request now Jan O'Dyer, the Chief Executive Officer, to please put your comments and thoughts, and how would you see that how that linkages can be strong, or can be even more valuable for community and societies, and overall, and how this would affect the economic growth of the countries. What's you?
Thank you. That's a good question. And look, I'll just quickly give you an idea of the organisation I work for, because it goes to the heart of this. So Cooperative Research Australia is an industry association representing industry research collaboration, so the partners in that. So industry, universities, research organisations. We have our origin in the Cooperative Research Centres program, which is an Australian program that is in its 30th year this year, that brings together universities and research organisations, industry, ranging from small to medium enterprises up to large industry, with government funding in a framework to foster innovation through to commercial outcomes, but also to economic, social and environmental benefits. And it's been very interesting listening to those that have gone before me about finding the language or finding a way that professors can speak to industry and industry can speak to universities and to researchers, finding that common ground. And I think when we look back on 30 years of the Cooperative Research Centres, it's a framework that makes that possible. So when we look at the way it works is a university usually applies for a Cooperative Research Centre. It's a very intense bidding process. It goes through 2 stages. They need to have brought industry partners in. So they need to have had some of those discussions with industry about industry problems that research might help solve. They need to have also looked at their research capacity. So the capacity of their researchers, the potential for PhD programs in that Cooperative Research Centre. And then they have to make the case to government as to why this particular research centre will help advance Australia's economic, social, and environmental needs. So it's very closely tied to those national needs, but it creates a framework. And so looking now when I talk to participants, so these things can last for up to 10 years, but then they often roll off into spin-off companies or into what we call post-CRC entities. But when I talk to university vice-chancellors, something that stands out about it is that it's often the space where their university develops their most important in relationships with industry, because it's done in a framework that makes that understanding of the world of research, the world of education, the world of industry, it builds a common framework for it. And so after participating in that centre and often developing many products or new processes, etc., the relationships are well established. Industry have had an opportunity to learn what the value of having PhD students and research in their organisation is and how it works. And universities have had the value of seeing how to engage with industry and what industry's problems are and the speed at which industry needs to work, which is very often different to the speed that a research institution needs to work. So I'd say this is a very good framework for making that happen. Now in Australia, we have more than 4,000 alumni of the CRC program. So that's people who've done their PhDs in industry-focused research, which means that's 4,000 people who are fluent in 2 languages, the language of a university and a research institution and the language of industry. And I think there's a real benefit in particularly policymakers and governments thinking about the frameworks that they can create that then allow those relationships to develop and prosper.
Okay, so Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jain, for your valuable comments. Specifically, you talk about the language of university and language of the industry, so that needs to be understood. And further now, I'm moving towards taking the same questions initial to know about the thoughts and the opinion of our, younger, panelist. That is Alpha. He's a senior lecturer. Can you, Alpha, comment on the talks of other panelists mentioned, and what exactly do you think that the points I mentioned about the university academia initiate at the three different levels? Because if we jump at once on these, maybe it creates a difficulty. So what are your points and thoughts on that?
Yeah, hi. So I guess what I could add to what the esteemed panel has already mentioned is the point of view from an ECR, from an early career researcher. So what we could do as early career researchers is, when we look around, we see that the industry around us, especially in R10, is largely SMEs. And then we got to think of how we could position ourselves in order to help these SMEs springboard their product, their technology, because essentially we are there to help them propel, and they are also going to help us advance our syllabus, our skills. So that's something we could look at, because as I think it was Dr. Zubair who mentioned that SMEs lack R&D departments because of their limited funding and whatnot. So what we could do as ECRs, as we begin to establish our careers, is that we got to think carefully in terms of long-term expansion, how we expand our labs, how we expand our research groups. We don't just do something for the sake of solving a certain project or solving a certain immediate problem, but we've got to think long run, long term, how we could expand our capacity so that we get gold standard equipments, so that we can really have something to offer the industry, can add value to our research, and really help the SMEs springboard their, when we do testing for them, we can help them springboard their values. Yeah, so I think that would be my addition to what has been added. So when we apply for grants from the government bodies, for example, we can think along these lines. How can we improve? How can we expand our capacity as ECRs?
Okay. So thank you for Alpha, for your comments on this. Now, as during the discussions, I mentioned one important point, and until we wait for some questions from the audience, if I just go and to raise one more questions regarding the that is actually the collaboration, but I'm adding one more thing, that is industry, academia, and now the government. So that is the triple helix concepts. Any suggestion, your thoughts, Dr. Paulina, from your side?
Yes, it is a very important to engage, multi-sectors, multidisciplinaries expertise, and also research and development results. Governments play a very important role for two things. Number one, they are the channel of communications. We are talking about establishing a gold standard. We are talking about together we collaborate to form a center of excellence for total engagement in development, in research, and the government, and also the international government play a very important role. Another point is the use of mentorship, the use of mentoring. it is very effective, and many of my colleagues already talk about, the internship. The internship are both ways. The industry would need to know what is currently available in technology that they can plan to apply so that they would have a good direction and then leading to a good return of investment. The government would need to know what is the thoughts, of the industries, what is the future directions, in response to all the needs from the clients and customers. And the academician, definitely, they are training both the students of all ages. Now, I'm not talking about just postgraduates and university students. I'm talking about pre-university students. How are we going to make them be aware of what is the application, the exciting and interesting potential, so they can choose, what to study, after, the pre-university. So these, I would say, form a very strong collaborations between, the sectors, the academia, and the industries. For example, IEEE has been doing a very good job. We're focusing on pre-university. We focus on university. We focus on SME. We focus on unicorn. We focus on multinational corporations. And I would only emphasize we need to do that, and we need to expand our horizon to touch beyond electrical and electronic engineers. We go to other disciplines, so that only together we would definitely form a good companionship, a good union. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paulina, for these very important thoughts that you mentioned. That it's not from the graduate or undergraduates, even a pre-university students can be. That's really a nice. Now I'm moving towards Dr. Sudhendra with the same and same questions, but including one more important thing. How you think that all these stakeholders combine make a ecosystem, and that helps that will transform the economic development or economic growth of the countries. Dr. Sudhendra,
yeah, I think it's thank you, Prakash. So I think it's very important, because I'm a strong believer that, like Paulina said, and like you rightly mentioned, all the stakeholders need to be winning in this game. There is no zero-sum game here, that at the cost of someone, another party in this ecosystem gets benefited. And that's why it makes it a little bit difficult, but it's not though impossible to get this ecosystem going. But if you carefully slice the challenge, there is something which I call in simple words, what's in it for me, for all the stakeholders. I mean, when I have classical discussions, to give you an idea of that, is I go to an academia because I have maybe money, but no time. And classically, we expect that they have time, maybe not as much money. So I think if you can understand each other, empathize each other's situation, and truly believe that the other person brings something to the table, it can really happen. And like you mentioned, government as well. And I always feel that in a management control system, what gets measured gets done better. So if you want to measure the right things, for example, in this part of the world, accreditation is very important for an academic institute. But to qualify, you need to do A, B, C, D, E. So if industry can help them do A, B, C, D, or maybe at least C, D in that list of things, I think there will be a partnership. Similarly, from an industry perspective, I want to do 10 things. Every year it's the same discussion. I have budget for 10 things, but I don't have people for 10 things. So I maybe have people for 7 things. But I would love, as a business head, to get 10 things done, or maybe even add 2 more things and make it 12. I think that's where I go to academia as well. I think it's a little bit of a game in a way where we all become a team and understand our role in that, Prakash.
Okay, that's good. You mentioned as per from your experience about that, and you have a time, then no money, and then we have money, then no time, and then it's obviously that what university brings on the table, and then what exactly from the industry. So taking these all questions and thoughts, now we have a lot of thoughts, specifically industry point of view. If you ask me, that industry have ways the new knowledge and how to channelize, and obviously for that we need the support of the universities, where the research specifically I'm talking about the research, and they can be channelize this. So towards now Dr. Zubair Sheikh with the same question. Dr. Saab, can you please comment on or put your thoughts on the same?
Yes, rightly said. I wish that in our country also we develop certain organization, and that is important, like the Cooperative Research Authority, or some organization like, as Paulina mentioned, or something. We do have to develop that. We do have the ministries of industries, we do have the ministries of for various kinds of things, but I think at the government level, certain organizations, as I had mentioned earlier, are important, who bridge the gap between, or connect actually, the academia and industry. That's one thing. Number two is this, that I wish that we do have one size fit for all kind of a solution, but I don't think so. But we probably have to, from the IEEE side or from other professional organizations, we do have to take this as a very important challenge, that how we develop the intellectual capital which can transform the industry. That's something which should be very carefully thought, and certain scientific researches, etc., in this regard are to be developed. Maybe transformation of intellectual capital and certain models, etc., is something which probably the business schools have to look into, or we, the senior professors, etc., who then over the years attain certain experience, etc. I don't know the answer to that, but something that is to be done also. Third, I strongly believe that we have to come out of this, fear factor that ideas can be stolen. I think ideas are never stolen. So ideas, etc., are something which are out there already. So you don't steal an idea, and in these days, something innovative thing comes in your mind is something which is already being practiced somewhere. That's why I in my in my research methodology courses, etc., when I teach, I've already developed a model of my own model, and that is that first of all, whenever there's something new idea, always remember you are basically imitating and you are basically copying that. So first of all, find out how much have you copied that. So that's the first step. And then idea gets copied, imitated, and then you kind of repeat that imitation. Or when you repeat that, automatically something else will come in your mind, and that changes into another aspect. So invention and innovation is nothing but basically copying the idea and intellectually. But copying is a very wrong word which I'm using, but don't take it on my negative side. But what I mean to say is this, that we have to understand that collaboration is extremely important. I mean, after this panel session is over, I'm going to contact each and every one. I'm going to find out how Volvo is doing the things in innovation. I'm going to contact the Paulina. I'm going to talk, because this, you see, this is another aspect which we are missing, talking with other colleagues, how they are doing, and maybe placing before them the challenges which we have, which probably they have not thought of. And, this collaboration is also extremely important. And that's the only thing which can then, drive the government also, because government has so many other priorities to take care of. For them, this will become priority only when we take it as a priority challenge.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. It's really always nice to listen your thoughts, and always learn something new from you when you come. It's an ideas stolen, or as you mentioned, that is not in the negative sides, and the intellectual capital development, and what the roles of the other stakeholders. So these are the very very valid points you have mentioned and raised in your thoughts. Now I'm moving towards the alpha. Alpha, what are your thoughts on the recent discussion we have started, and adding one more stakeholder, as I mentioned, the government. So how do you see, will this be the right or effective that make this ecosystem, or do you think the only two players are enough for making this, for transformation or making this this better, ecosystem?
All right. Ultimately, I think we will need this triple helix, right? As you mentioned, the government, in the long run, the government can't be pumping in money for research endlessly. And because at the end of the day, it's the industry who stands to benefit from the knowledge which the academic produces and the skill set which the university trains. So it's in the interest of the nation that the government do start getting the industries to be interested in the research as well. But I guess from an ECR point of view, when we try to engage with the industry, we are sometimes too caught up with the prospect of having a publication because that's very much needed for our progression in academia, right? We can't be, otherwise we'll be stuck without publications. Whereas industry is not so interested with how many journal papers is going to come out from a small research. What they're interested is in, as Dr. Kaushik mentioned, I need my 10 items in the first quarter, whereas we can promise 10 items after 2 years, which is often beyond the financial calendar of the industry. So I guess academians, especially ECRs, need to understand that the industry operates on financial years, financial quarters, in fact. And so we got to learn how to plan our research to be able to give very quantitative deliverables within quarters and keep this relationship, update your collaborators maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. Because the industry is very fast paced. It's not, I guess it's a bit more relaxed in academia. You could give a milestone update every 3 months and get away with it. But the industry needs to know what's happening with the money they're putting in. I guess, so regardless of whether the government is helping or whether the industry is interested in research, the academias as well, especially the ECRs who are coming up, they need to be able to understand that with industry involvement, you need to be more proactive. You need to be more engaged in updating your stakeholders.
Okay, thank you, Alpha, for this very well said about the industry and not interested in the papers, and academia. Obviously, they need to look at the research papers, and obviously they see the financial years and all these things. That's very valid. And while discussing all these things, I some points came in my mind. But before putting those, I want to move towards Jane for comment your thoughts on the same question.
Thank you. And look, all of the panelists before me have made really excellent points in this space, and I thought I'd pick up on a couple of them. And it's true that governments we need policymakers to help create the frameworks and the conditions for this to work, but they can't simply place that everywhere. They have to make decisions about where that sits with a country's economic interests, with its social interests, but also where its strengths lie in terms of its research and industrial capacity. One of the things I thought that was worth exploring a bit more was this question about the expectations in academia and creating, potentially in academia, creating a bit more reward for involvement in industry research. So we do have a tendency in academia to judge people's progression entirely on publications rather than on the impact that comes through industry engagement. And so I think it's worth universities thinking through how they can recognise and reward their academic staff for taking time to engage with industry, it has greater benefit for the university as well, because it potentially creates more opportunities for the students of that university. The other thing is I thought it was interesting that Paulina had mentioned starting people young in this space, giving them exposure to industry early, so pre-university training. I think that's a really good point. We've seen over the 30 years of the CRC program, we've seen something interesting happen. So originally, all the students that participated in the CRC program were PhD scholars, and they would undertake their PhD over the course of the CRC. And so the projects that they worked on would last the period of a PhD, often 3 or 4 years, sometimes longer. But the times have changed, and in some sectors, particularly technology sectors, the demand for quicker turnaround actually is much quicker than a PhD is. So they need to be working on projects that are shorter and that may join together, but are perhaps a little different. So I've seen a shift now where we see students that not just PhD students participating, but also students undertaking master's programs and even undergraduate students taking internships in the CRC to give them that experience in industry. The other thing that you can do in that space by giving students through all stages of their education exposure to participating in innovation and collaboration with industry is a sense that pursuing an academic career, be it all the way through to PhD or postdoc, doesn't necessarily mean that the only career path open to you is academia. You might complete a PhD and go and work in industry. You might complete a master's by research and go and work in industry, giving our students a sense that there are multiple career paths open to them, and then working through the arrangements for academics to give academics time out from their normal roles or to recognise their industry engagement and impact. I think are the things that would make a really big difference. So thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and I'm really learning a lot while listening all these very valuable comments and suggestions, and this is a very good points you mentioned. As of now, we are close, but let me see. I'm just thinking some questions from our audience. So let me see if there's any question, and if not, then we'll move further. Yeah, it's one question from Zia Ahmed to Professor Dr. Zubair. Dr. Zubair, Zia from Australia, he's asking question, any comments on the importance of the quality standards of research to attract industry in developing countries, especially in our part of the world? The quality of research remains questionable.
Yeah, you would like me to address that?
Yeah, it's specifically asking from you.
Well, there are many qualities and attributes which we can think of. First of all, is this that the primary thing between a professor, the concept of the professor has to change now. So first of all, the professor has to take the reverse role and to become a facilitator. So that's the primary thing if you really want to promote the research. So in my class, for example, I normally say, okay, what are your ideas? So open the minds of the youngsters, because we who cross the age of 40 plus, pardon me for saying this, but when we cross the age of 40 plus, our mind is less receptive to the new ideas. Rather, it becomes more of a critical mind in saying that this idea can be transformed into reality or not. So the first thing is this, that new ideas should come. So the new ideas will come from the youngsters when they are students, etc. So I always believe in creating and developing a nursery of ideas. So when there are about, well over 24 different ideas, and I map each idea with this sustainable development goal. So an idea has to be mapped with the SDG. So that's what is the challenge, that you cultivate a mind that they start thinking about the social problems and the social issues. So you have to connect the problem with the social issue. And when you do that, automatically the innovative aspect comes. So in my class, I'm essentially a facilitator. I always call them. In fact, in my last week's class, I called myself that I'm today announcing the death of a teacher. And rather, I said it's a reincarnation as a facilitator. So now I become a facilitator. So my students then become the professors, and I become the student. And all I do is this: map their ideas into the SDGs, and from SDGs to a problem which can then be transformed. So that's how I do cultivate the researchers. Number two, the second idea is this, that how you develop the research culture. While the traditional research culture, which we have studied, that is, quantitative and the qualitative kind of research, etc., I believe that there is something which research aspect which we have been missing throughout, other than this qualitative and quantitative. And that research aspect is basically the culture and the society. So understanding the anthropological research aspects and epistemological aspects of the research. So that's something which we have to connect. Unfortunately, most of the scientists and engineering researchers are mostly towards developing a solution and then coming up in a conference paper and proposing that this solution is good, etc., and comparing with the results, etc. But we rarely connect it with the society. Hence, it is important that you have to connect with the society. And as Paulina was saying, that agro-tech and smart tech and all these kinds of things are there. That's when these all smart techs, etc., will come, when you connect it with the society. So for that, anthropological research is also extremely important, where you study the cultures, where you study these kinds of things. And that's an important ingredient in developing the research culture amongst these students, etc. And the final thing is this: I tell them, go and sell this research. Even if you are not able to sell it for the money purpose, I need at least 10 people who can say that, yeah, your idea is great, we really liked it. So you have to convince them to the public, not just your research and your academic community or the people who are like you, but different. So they have to go out to the doctors, they have to go to the farmers, agriculturists, etc., to sell their ideas. So if these kinds of things develop, then you have the productive researchers, not just the textbook kind of researchers who are just producing papers for their promotions, etc., and for the research for the sake of research. I want them to be developed as an applied researchers. Sorry, these are my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zubair, for a very comprehensive answer for these questions. And I'm sure Dr. Zia, you got the answer of the questions. And as now we are almost finished, no further time available for going any, and I don't see any further question. So, and I thought to have final comments, but due to the time constraints, probably not. Thank you very much, Dr. Sudhendra and Dr. Paulina, Dr. Zubair Sheikh, Ms. Jen, Uttayer, and Alpha for your participations and for your precious time. And very nicely, and really, it's an honor for me to moderate this session with among such, very, learned people and learned professionals among them. And I learned a lot while discussing and new ideas came in my mind, and probably, and I will do and try my level best to do it, try to implement some of them if I can, in limited constraints. Thank you very much. And now I'm moving towards the tech for closing remarks for the session. Tech, towards you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been very interesting panel discussion. It's been very, very challenging kind of moving forward for all of us in the, because it's always a common, I call it universal problem, because there's always this hard to get close to working with the industry for some. So all the discussion is very interesting and solid. We have a lot of problems there, a lot of issue, and we as a IEEE, maybe we can kind of being the front line to start working toward a good ways to solve this problem, make it get the kind of closer relationship between industry and academia, and then also a student have a good experience when they are studying in the universities. Okay, thank you very much for all the panel members, and thanks for Prakash for sharing the excellent sessions. And yeah, with this, I will close this session, and we have a little bit of break before we go into the next session, which is Women in Engineering. So, get your legs stretched up a little bit. So, make sure walk a bit, 2 minutes, and we'll be back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for your presence. Thank you. Thank you for all.
Hello, good afternoon to some of us people from New Zealand and Australia, and good morning to the one in Asia and the rest of the world. Welcome to the Region 10 Women in Engineering track. So it's going to be exciting panel talks, which is led by Amy Yano. So I'll pass it to Amy to chair the track. Amy?
Thank you, Prof. Tek. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks to joining us at TENCON 2021 I2P Region 10 AA track. I'm Amy Yano, I2P Region 10 AA Chair. It's great honor to be the host of our AA session, Journey Beyond the Horizon, success story of an incredible women leader. The visibility of women leaders is really important. We female engineers need more role models. Today, to deliver the special talk, we have a guest as a keynote speaker, Dr. Piyapan Hanaki. Dr. Piyapan, MD of Operation Energy Group Limited. She is currently a chair of I2P Women in Power Thailand chapter and a vice chair of I2P Power and Energy Society Thailand chapter. She is also lead the Thai Women Engineer Association Holdings vice president position. Dr. Piyapan, we are very happy to have you with us as a keynote speaker for WeTrack. Thanks a lot, and now stage is all yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. It is my great honor to be invited to share my experience with all of you today on the topic of success story of an incredible women leader. It is an awkward situation for me to share the success story. I don't think that I'm success or not, because what success is, I think for me, the word satisfaction seems more suitable than success. Why? Because success is judged by others, while satisfaction is judged by my happiness. Whatever it is, the key is what value I deliver to the society and to the world in my lifetime. I'm happy with what I have become today. I'm satisfied with what I have and what I contribute to people and society. It is my pleasure to share my experiences and my point of view with all of you. Simple keys are: number one, knowing and understanding ourselves. The earlier is the better. It's somewhat like a shortcut in our life path. Nobody's perfect. We have to know our strength and our weakness. Use it wisely at the right time. As a women engineer, I have to accept that in the past, we cannot beat men engineers in some aspects. I realized that and let them do their capacity without interruption and happily supported them for the best outcome, because our ending line is what value we could give to the world. Now the technology helps. Meanwhile, it is much better to do something of our strength. As women and with a mother instinct, we are gentle, soft, patient, but strong. We can render this characteristic naturally in a smart way and in any situation. For example, I'm the managing director of a medium-sized company and performing O&M services to the power plants. So about 95% of 500 are men. I always take good care of our employee, just like family members. No one calls me Bot, but Pikai. Pikai means elder sister. It is my strong intention. I have never forgot to send a birthday card to each employee every year, 25 years consecutively, to everyone. I truly believe the value of the company is from the quality of employees. If they work in safe environment, have respect for each other and themselves, have positive thinking, have service mind, stay in good discipline, contribute innovative works, earn enough income to take care of their family, and have good health. They certainly are very happy and ready to devote themselves to the growth of the company. The turnover rate over 25 years of the company has been very low. More than 80% of them have stayed with us since they joined. This is the soft touch strength of women I have and I will continue to apply. Number 2, the best at what you do. Do everything mindfully and consciously. Mind and mean our every word, step, and word. Do everything at our best, and we will never regret, because what we did was the best we can do. And at particular time, in the particular circumstance. If the result comes out unsatisfactory, later on, when the situation changes, we can correct it. Among all my past work experiences, the rehabilitation work of the flooded 300 megawatt power plant in Ayutthaya in Thailand is one of the best examples. The power plant was flooded for 45 days during the nation flood crisis in 2011, about 1.5 meter high. And I actually was just a managing director of the O&M company, but was appointed as the claim manager, needed to comply the maximum efforts of our good team to overcome such challenge with fresh experience, since they had never no prior similar case anywhere. The damage was really immense. Our team worked very hard, closely and concurrently with the plant owner and contractors in providing technical support for the huge amount of insurance claims. We had to deal and negotiate with insurers, reinsurers, loss adjuster from every corner of the world. I somewhat like the selected person who has to have a boxing game with the world champion. Winning or losing did really matter, but the most important thing is we had to show our professionalism and gain respect from them. The first day we met, the loss adjuster said we should drop our insurance claim due to there were similar cases when 7-Eleven claimed on their losses due to the flood in USA by the Hurricane Katrina in 2005. The court verdicted 7-Eleven lost the cases on their business interruption insurance claim, as although the village were flooded, no one came to buy anything from 7-Eleven during that period of time. The industrial user and our power plant were the same category. They were flooded, unable to operate, therefore no need for electricity. On that day, should I not have the mindfulness, consciousness, and the precision on all agreements, including insurance agreement, we might have lost our case since day one. But finally, we succeeded and won about $150 million of the claim value. and managed to restore the plant to our previous operation standard within 18 months by our team and contractors. Despite this tough challenge, we also got opportunity to work and learn much beyond our normal job experiences through such challenges. The lesson learned is we need to know the best in what we are doing for. We never know when the crisis will occur. We must have thorough knowledge, mindful and conscious at all times. Number 3, learn from our own or others' mistakes. Always stay hungry and foolish. Being able to learn and observe all the time is an important characteristic and provides good lessons. If we make a mistake, learn from, find the root cause, and change the way we work. Learning from our own mistake is good, but it's even better to learn from others people's mistakes, for we can easily avoid disaster and save our time for such same or similar mistakes. Therefore, when people do something bad to us or others, instead of feeling bad, we should appreciate and thank them for the footsteps that we will never follow. On the other hand, we should return those who do good to us with our highest appreciation and good deeds. Learning from other perspectives would then enable us to learn something new each day, moreover, to approach new opportunities. It is not only to make a better us, but also we can render to others. I believe that building quality people plays in an important role in contributing value to the world. We can simply start from our family, friends, subordinates, and anyone around at any time possible. There are times that our good intentions are declined. Let's accept that as their right. No hard feeling because we have done what should be done. Number 4, learn to give. Happiness are in fact not from asset we have, but peaceful mind. I need to thank my parents for embedding the giving spirit in me, giving away what we already have enough to the society truly enhance our gladness. This needs not to be materially. I started from giving love, kindness, and opportunities to family, siblings, friends, and subordinates. My giving scale finally ran to society. For example, the Jit Asa Care project. This project is one of several projects from Thai Fight COVID Group, which I'm chairperson. Jit Asa Care is a real-time digital platform providing assistance COVID-19. This platform was developed by a volunteer group. This group was established and run by a group of Thai engineers since March 2020, aiming to lend a helping hand to medical personnel in fight against the first wave of COVID-19 in Thailand. The project started from brainstorming all engineer members in the group to find out solutions in producing and supplying medical appliances, telemedicine, robots, mobile clinic, swab testing unit, and handing them over to hospitals around the country. This includes the setting up of online forum to build standard positive and negative pressure rooms, to design and set up the PPE standard, and develop PPE to cope with the pandemic situation in Thailand, to initiate preventive measures of COVID-19 in public buildings, restaurants, school, dental clinic, and public transportation. However, as the new waves of the pandemic have become even more widespread and severe, we felt that our support may not be sufficient. We therefore expand our scope of assistance to cover the information-based system and hence develop a platform which supports essential information to facilitate the volunteers on site with a one-stop service on a digital map platform developed by members of our team, mostly are the aero engineers. Our goal is to speed up the assistance process to enable patients to access necessary support the soonest, so that the patients and impacted people can recover rapidly. The platform serves in 3 areas: providing information to public, requesting help, or SOS, offering helps. We enlist volunteers from all walks and occupations, lawyers, engineers, dentists, and even the Grab rider. Then we can perform this task in their free time. Within a month, we have around 10,000 volunteers across the country. The volunteers are divided in 4 operation teams. Team 1, information volunteer team. Team 2, coordination volunteer. Team 3, logistic volunteer. And team 4, medical volunteer. Let's see how it's worked. This is the digital map platform. The red dots is the SOS request. So it's very easy to use the platform by the web browser on the computer or the telephone. You can see the red dots all over Thailand at that moment. You can also have the top right of the page, you see the boxes of the following places: cremation temples, community isolation places, hospital, vaccination points, COVID-19 test point, oxygen filling, and selling area. And you can also find the location from the patient request for supply, transfer vehicle, transfer of the deceased, and other. If you go a little bit down, you can see the types of the request, status of help, specific location for the person who needs help, such as village or province. So the SOS function is when someone needs help, he or she can click the SOS button pin in the digital map platform, input details of help required, enter name and telephone number, then click upload the data. When finished with the data upload, the QR code will be generated. The QR code will contain all the cases. Information is hence available in system and can be extracted by other relevant volunteers group. This shortens the process by skipping redundant data filling. Volunteer function. The volunteers are divided into 4 operation teams. Information volunteer. They have to update information, data, and to place location pins of the different color on the digital map to show vacancy status. Like if the temple is available, the status it will be yellow. If occupied, fully occupied, they will be gray. The coordination volunteer team, this team is to coordinate between patients and relevant teams in order to produced for further proceeds for further assistance. After the coordination is completed, the red pin is turned to green, stating the requirement is being attended to turn into gray with the task is over. Logistic volunteer team, they are responsible for delivery, medicine, food, oxygen, medical, appliance, transfer patients to hospital. Besides, coordination volunteer is to interview each patient for adequate information and to provide primary consultant in order to determine further action. By our platform. Moreover, the platform is now being used in our province in Thailand on another approach to show the vaccinate point, and also anyone can pin to request the report their vaccinate status. It has also many get recognition and award from the Senate, which I'm so proud of. Number 5, positive thinking and can-do attitude. One and most important attitude I have had since I was young is the can-do attitude, which has encouraged me to have fighting spirit. I love and respect myself for never giving up on what I'm up to. When we accomplish, we are doing, we will be proud and have self-esteem, which is very important characteristic of the leader. Self-respect also stem of wellness. Then keep ourselves healthy, pretty, and witty. Take good care of our body and soul. Find time for pamper ourselves. Exercise and give ourselves good nutrition. Have good attitude and positive thinking. Our personality and image are very important and precious. Beat our optimum well-being. Number 6, be responsible. We equally have 24 hours a day to take care of ourselves, our family, work, and community. The work-life integration must be kept in mind so as to make our lives happy and peaceful. Keep promises and have commitment in our job or whatever you do. Every word you say are also very essential. Good respect and image of the leader depends on our accomplishment and what we are responsible for and promise keeping. Every our word are the commitments. Think carefully with mindfulness and consciousness, as I said. Make the best decision. Do as we say. Don't just go back and forth. People look up to us, so we must not fail to lead ourselves as good example. We are in full responsibilities in all dimensions of our lives. Thank you very much. And these are what I want to share with you today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Piyapan, for the amazing talk that you've given us today. Apparently, the journey to be a very incredible woman leader is not easy. And somehow you have proved that we as a woman, we can actually achieve everything, even like the the best chance of achievement in the career path that is most moderated, most dominated by men. And this time you've shown all of us here to see the power of women, that we can do everything. So I think we have some question from the question and answer box that I would like to go through. What is your achievements in your life that you are most proud of? Dr. Piyapan?
Yes, I think one thing that I think satisfaction is the most thing that I'm proud of. I'm what I am today, and I'm happy with my life. I think asset is another matter. You can get when you do things good, and then your career will be improved. If you have all 6 things that I mentioned, I think it's already complete your satisfaction. I think this is the key. All 6 matters are the keys for me. Yeah.
I see. And do you have like any words or anything to tell a new generation of women who want to pursue the career in STEM, like in science and technology or in engineer? Do you have anything or any words to tell them or to inspire these young women?
I think to learn to know yourself is the best way, that you have the shortcut, as I mentioned. And if they know themselves that what they want to be, it's a very good thing that you can improve yourself very fast, because it's somewhat like you like. And then I think nowadays the technology change. Everything is in a minute, quick launch. I think they have to have patience sometimes, because everything in life is not like magic as the computer or as AI. So I think the people in the new generation, as my daughters, I have 2 daughters, 31 and 29. Yeah, they just have something quick when they want. So I have to teach them to be patient sometimes. So I think this is the key that they have to practice at this time. Yeah.
Well, that is really works for me too. I have to be patient most of the time, because everything right now is so quick. Even the internet speed is quick, and like mobile phone is very quick. Everything is just quick, and we need everything. We can just get it quick, and sometimes we lost our patience sometimes. And yes, thank you very much, Dr. Piyapan, for your insight in your journey of your life and the achievement that you have proved to our women in engineering community here. And now I would like to pass the stage to Dr. Sudipta to wrap up this session, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kanita. Before we conclude the WIE track, it is the time to convey our thanks to all the people who have greatly contributed to this event. Firstly, I'd like to convey my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nirmal Nair, Region 10 Professional Activities Committee Chair, Dr. Zia Ahmed, Region 10 Technical Activities Vice Chair, and the Organizing Committee of TENCON 2021 for providing us this great opportunity. I'd also like to thank the Region 10 WIE Chair, Ms. Amy Yellow, for entrusting Kanita and me to organize this event. Our special thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Piyapan, for the wonderful speech. Ma'am, I'm very sure that your journey towards success and your great achievements would really inspire many women professionals to a further extent. And the last but not the least, many thanks to our participants for being the part of this event and making it successful. So thanking all of you once again, I'd like to conclude the WIE track and hand over the stage to Dr. Nirmal.
Okay, greetings everyone. So thanks Sudipta for thanking me. I think in fact I should thank you the other way around. So this was the first time we were trialing something. We still have some about 10 minutes or so. So I just thought we started a little bit late because of some technical issues, but we are streaming and I think the next team is also there. But I think I had some questions, and comments about this program and also about women in engineering, generally why we thought this was important to be streamed in this particular session and also in the Asia Pacific zone. As you can see, by the way, I also wanted to shout out to people to say, hey, women in engineering, I'm a women in engineering member for about 5 or 10 years, okay? So as far as IEEE goes, there are quite a few people so anyone can become a member of different organization, right? So just to put that part out of the way. The other issue was I really enjoyed the discussions which Amy Anno set up. And as you can see, me and Amy, we are both part of Region 10 on the executive side. And one of the things, if suppose this TENCON had been a face-to-face kind of an event, right? Which has usually been happening since 1980, correct? The first TENCON happened in Hong Kong. And this is the 34th edition. I actually counted all those editions. And so this was the 34th edition, but the 33rd edition was in Osaka, Japan. And I think, Amy, you know that. So that went fully online. And we thought, COVID will go away. Delta, we didn't even know Delta was existing. And then now there is Omicron, and it just seems going on and on. So we initially thought that this conference was going to be face-to-face here in Auckland. And in New Zealand, we have never held this conference before. So we were, I think when Region 10 was formed, we were one of the inaugural countries, along with, I think, Japan, I know Pakistan was there, and I think it was South Korea. I don't exactly remember. But since then, we have never hosted it because we thought it's too difficult to host. But then once we came into the group, and I think we started hosting it here, and that was the intent. But so we were really looking forward to welcoming all you. But if you think about it, if it was a face-to-face event, this would not have happened. There's no way, we would be going after paper, we would be going after conference and all that kind of stuff. So, so when we did this conference, we formed a technical program completely separately, and you can see that's being streamed from tomorrow. It's a closed room session. And then we reached out to Amy-san quite late, I think about 2 or 3 weeks before. And then we put this together, and what you're seeing is what you're seeing here. But this is also being streamed as we speak. So that is why there was a whole bunch of issues. So I would first like to thank Amy-san, basically, because otherwise this would have not been possible. That's the first thing. But also wonderful to have Sudipta and Kanita as well as IEEE volunteers to bring in a really hotshot person, Ms. Piapan. So one of my background is Power Energy Society. So I really enjoyed your conversation about Power and Energy Society and things like that. And you really have to keep the lights on, right? So if you don't have electricity, all these things won't happen. If you don't have computer, nothing of this thing is going to happen. If you don't have communication, absolutely nothing. Software. So I think we have, I remember 30, 40 years ago when I was studying, I used to sit in front of a computer or whatever it is, 30, 40 years ago. And my mother used to say, why are you playing games and all that kind of stuff? And now after 2 years, if suppose you tell to your kid, anyone, anywhere in the world that you're playing games, they'll say, you think you're working from home? What do you mean? So I think we have flipped the whole thing ahead and we need to go further. And the theme of this conference, as you know, was towards resilient living. We discussed that a long time ago and we put around future direction. but I think it's also about green energy and some of those things and things like that, and the training of people and resources. So I think IEEE is a very progressive society, and I just want to pitch in for IEEE Power and Energy Society. I think there's a logo here as well. Yeah, that Power and Energy Society, you can see that. The reason why it is because we took a pledge 3 years ago that and this is IEEE Power and Energy Society. There are about 38 other societies, that there will be no panel which would be the same kind of panel. So that's the first pledge we took. Any keynote, any of those things, we will just do it. The second part of that pledge we have taken, and we have tried to introduce that in our program as well. Our technical chair is Kosala, so she's the chair. So we make sure that some of these roles, which usually you think of too much responsibility, too much of those things, it is all led by a women in engineering group from our part. And all these fantastic thing, all this part is one of my graduate students, Lakshita. If she's there, she will be, she'll know, why are you talking about it? But she keeps me on a tight track. Hey, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. So really speaking, I think IEEE is a safe home. That's what I wanted to convey people. And PES is one of the most traditional societies I've ever known, but I think we are making a difference. I think for the next 5 years, it's going to be the president of PES are both women. They're close friends of mine. Jessica Bien, both are from the US, and Shay, she just got elected and all that kind of stuff. So really speaking, I think this is the trend which we are going to see in terms of future technologies. So you set a good tone for the starting of this conference, which we started, I think, about 3 hours ago, where we were talking about technology, 5G, and all that kind of stuff. So that set a good tone. And the second panel from our part was basically industry academia, part of that exercise, where how we can work together. This brings to, your session was more about personal achievement, how far you can go, how far you can serve, and so on and so forth. And I thought that was brilliantly brought about by Ms. Piapan. So I once again congratulate the whole team over here. I was just trying to run because the AV guys told you have to run up till 5:25. So it's 5:23 now. I would just like to acknowledge all of you. Thank you for setting up a good tone for our conference attendees. I really appreciate it. Really thank you for everything, whatever you have done for us. And I hope you continue with the streaming session. This has been streamed live to all the audience everywhere else in the world. And this is the first time Asia Pacific part, we have embedded a full program, which is a showstopper right at the start, right? So that's what we wanted to say. Hopefully, face-to-face, when we do earlier, we might get this program embedded. But I would, on behalf of all the organizing committee and so on and so forth, I wish you all the very best and safe and happy holidays. It's summer over here for us, and we are really looking forward to the new year in 2022. Sorry, already I lost 1 year. But anyway, so let's close this off for the audience. I hope you enjoyed this stream. I hope you have been inspired. I hope you might have noticed that IEEE is not electrical and electronic engineers, which are usually men. It's absolutely, I just don't believe that. 50% of the workforce is usually in the power force is basically women and different diverse groups all over the world. So I have practiced in many other places. So it's a safe place. Consider doing engineering. That's the first thing. And definitely start thinking about electrical engineering, because I think we are taking a big rap now and we lose some of the best students to other disciplines. No offense on them, but I think we need more power engineers and more electrical engineers and so on and so forth, and innovators and fantastic people across the board. So with that, I close this session, and we'll take a 5 minutes or 10 minutes break. And then we will start with the last session of this one, which is the young professional, the future of IEEE. So that's we have served the best for the last. Not that I'm saying the women in engineering was not fantastic, but I think we'll go over to the student batch. So take a 5-10 minutes break, and then we will start streaming through. But on behalf of TENCON 2021 committee, I thank you all. And let's close this session for now. Thank you.